Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to Cocktails and Conversations podcast with me, Deborah Babio. I'm a cultural connector, curator, and all-round formidable force within the fashion, entertainment, and lifestyle space. This podcast blends good vibes, meaningful conversations, and a splash of inspiration. Every week, we're serving up candid chats on wellness, lifestyle, and personal growth, all with a refreshing twist. So grab your favorite cocktail or mocktail and join me along with some industry pros and close friends as we delve into the roller coaster of modern life. Cheers! In this episode of Cocktails and Conversations, I sit down with two powerhouse women redefining success on their own terms. Jade Aryiku, co-founder of Vamp PR, and Vanessa Fernandes, founder of Nayna London and the aesthetic clinic, The Dolls London, based in London's Knightsbridge. Together, we embark on an exploration of what it truly means to craft a life and career that resonates with your values. This conversation is a celebration of ambition, not as a pursuit of an external validation, but as a commitment to living life that feels deeply aligned with who you are. It's about staying rooted in your purpose while remaining open to the transformative power of change. Whether an entrepreneur, a creative, or navigating the corporate world, or just someone standing at the crossroads of your next chapter, this episode will ignite a fire within you to define success on your own terms and to pursue it unapologetically. So grab a drink, settle in, and let's talk about building a life and career that truly reflects you. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to Cocktails and Conversations with Deborah Babio. On this episode, we're talking about all things climbing your own corporate ladder, entrepreneurship, whether you're working in corporate, whether you're working for yourself, how you're building life and work balance, if there's such a thing. Today, we've got some fabulous guests for you. Ladies, welcome. How are we doing?
Good, thank you. Hi.
Please introduce yourself for our audience.
Okay, so I am Vanessa Fernandes. I own a cosmetic distribution company called Nayna London, and I also own a luxury aesthetic clinic called The Dolls London.
And where is that located, Vanessa?
In Knightsbridge.
Tell the people.
In Knightsbridge.
In Knightsbridge, people. So if you need to know, we'll give you all the details. Please.
My name's Jade Aryiku. I am co-founder and PR director of a specialist PR agency called Vamp. Also do lots of freelance PR consultancy on the side as well.
Fabulous. Welcome to Cocktails and Conversations. And on that note, let me pour you a cocktail.
Yes, please.
So this is my take on, well, I call it money green. That's
I love that.
That's what I'm
That's
calling
my
it.
kind of cocktail.
That's what I'm calling it.
That's a nice colour.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
That's a good colour.
one for you.
For you.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Right. So,
Should we do a little
yes. Cheers. And cheers to you. Cheers. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Ooh, very refreshing.
Very refreshing.
Very refreshing. So let's dive straight in, ladies. We're talking, obviously, we've all got our own businesses, but I want to start from, where it all started for us. For me, I was working in retail and then moved up to corporate and then obviously transitioned into being a business owner. Just tell me a little bit about your journey.
Entrepreneurship for me initially was accidental. I was a fashion student.
Yeah,
I was
got that in
studying,
common.
London College of Fashion.
Same. I was.
And you know the lifestyle.
Oh, I know the lifestyle,
You know the
girl. What
lifestyle.
did you study?
So I did fashion promotion, which was basically journalism, marketing, and public relations.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. And, being a fashion student, you're in central London, the lifestyle is expensive.
Very
At some
expensive.
point, I had like 3 part-time jobs, girl, and it still wasn't covering.
Cutting it, right?
Yeah.
Literally,
So-
there's materials, there's books, everything. It's just...
I thought to myself, what can I do? I can't get another 4th part-time job. How will I keep up with the studies? And then it was an auntie who said to me, you need to stop exchanging your time for money and you need to be able to do something that pays you more. Cut story short, hair products.
Okay. Well, what made you go into hair products in particular, not
So-
anything else?
I grew up in a family that's very mixed. So I've always been very obsessed with my hair. And growing up, I always felt that I didn't really love my hair because all the women around me had textures that I was made to believe were better than mine. And so it was always a little bit of a trauma for me. And then living in London and being in central London, every time I wanted to hit the clubs, I would go into salons and they'll be like, we don't have products for your hair. And I'm like, but London is so multicultural. How can you not have products for my hair? Anyway,
Until this day, Central London doesn't really have a salon for...
It's improved a lot. We're talking 18 years ago. You couldn't go into like Boots or anything like that.
Oh,
and
that's
grab,
true.
like,
And grab your...
Cantus,
That's very
Shea
true.
Moisture,
Yeah. Now
none
you
of that.
can. Yeah.
So I was born in Lisbon, and in Lisbon we use a lot of Brazilian cosmetics, and they cater for all different hair textures.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you don't have products for my hair? Okay, I'll sell you some. And so I started going to Portugal and buying Brazilian products and then supplying salons in London.
How old are you when you're doing all this?
19.
Wow. 19.
19, no
That's
experience,
incredible.
no money.
Wow.
Just,
So did the aunt that told you support you in that? How did you make that work?
She did.
By
I ended
buying
up
the flight?
having to borrow money from friends and family, and she was one of the investors in my in my business that started in my bedroom. So accidentally got into entrepreneurship.
Wow.
But I feel like it's always been in my DNA.
Amazing. What about you, Ruby?
Mine was also accidental. I started off working in retail when I was a teen, just making money on the side, but I was also very much a busybody in the sense that I couldn't sit still. When I was younger, I used to do stagecoach, like I was always doing something.
Oh, wow.
And when I was about 14, 15, I realized that I wanted to get into the industry, media, TV, film, entertainment. Didn't know what I wanted to do, but knew that that was my place. So I started applying for internships and work experience, and got some really great opportunities from, when I was about 15, 16, doing a lot of unpaid internships. Back then you could do that. You could do that.
You work for free and you were
Literally.
grateful for it.
I was grateful, and to
Literally.
this day, I'm still so grateful.
Yeah.
Like it's a different time now.
It's a very different time. I'm kind of sad that companies don't do internships.
Yeah, in the
anymore,
same way.
In the same way,
Exactly.
because I feel like it was such a good entry point
It
to
was.
actually test the waters to see if
Exactly.
you wanted to do the job.
Exactly. And also if you had the drive, tenacity.
Right? And to really see what it really entails, because sometimes the glitz and all that glitters ain't gold.
But is it that companies don't do it, or that people can't afford to work for free?
Which is true. Yeah, there is that. It's a bit of both.
There's a bit of both, but
It's true.
I think it's, we'll come back to that, please.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll definitely bring it back up.
I want to speak to on that part.
So yes, I was doing a lot of work experience, and then one of the internships I did led me into PR. I found out what being a publicist looks like, and I was like, "This is a job. This is amazing." And from there, I started looking more into it. Did a degree in media and communications, which covered all sort of the basics of media, including publicity, and did a 1-year internship at Universal Pictures doing marketing and then publicity, and then knew, this was my calling. And after uni, me and my friends decided to set up a business. And 8 years later, we're here.
Wow, 8 years. Remember for 8 years.
Thank you. Yeah.
Vanessa, you didn't say how long you've been.
So the cosmetic distribution, 18 years.
18.
And the clinic, 3.5 years.
That's incredible. Black businesses are thriving,
Yes.
people. Black businesses are thriving. And women-led, female-led businesses. That's incredible. So I wanted to start, like I said, going back to before you jumped into, what was the corporate world like? How did you transition from retail into, because I feel like no one teaches you how to go into that space, right? You finish uni and like get a job and do all that, but it's a whole different ball game that you actually have to learn and sometimes be prepared for. And it's just, I just want to hear kind of your stories, how you navigated it. What were some of the pitfalls? What were the learning curves? What would the, anything you enjoyed? That'll be really interesting to know.
I think for me, I tried to soak up information quite a lot. So if it's watching TV shows and seeing what the corporate world looks like there, but then also comparing it to reality, I try to take things from everything that I engage myself in. So even with work experience, I just think it was so important for me because it taught me little things like how to construct an email, just how to conduct yourself in certain situations, like the process of getting a meeting in the diary. Like there's just certain little things that seem like such small things now to all of us that we just do, but you need, no one essentially teaches you. You kind of learn on the job. But I think the younger you are, people are more willing to teach you as well. But that also creates a difficulty for anyone who's starting a business or starting their career later down the line. It's that maybe shame or embarrassment of asking questions, but it's also important to have moments like this where people can share the basics or what's considered the basics so that people can pick it up. So for me, work experience was a massive part of like learning like the corporate world, let's say. And then also with my internship, I was forced into physically learning things on the job because it wasn't an internship where or like a placement year where you do half of the time like learning, doing, theory, and then half the time doing practical. It was all practical whilst also learning on top.
Basically just learn on the
job. Learning on the job.
And
it was a lot of trial and error. And I think people are sometimes afraid to do trial and error, but I learned so many things in that 1 year that I still take on today. I made so many mistakes, had really horrible, hard experiences.
How do you embrace that? Because I feel like that's in this age of social media where everything is shown to be perfect or everyone's thriving. Like no one really shows the real. How do you take those kind of mistakes or those learning curves, should I say, and how does it shape you? How did you learn? How did you not let it break you?
I think it's important to just let your feelings be your feelings. So I definitely cried a lot during my internship.
I still do.
I cried a lot, but then I didn't hold it in. I shared it with other friends and other peers who were doing internships and just other people in the industry, and I was able to find older women in the industry that I could connect with. And it wasn't just women, actually, it was men as well, that I was able to share those experiences and find out, is this normal? Is this not? Like, and also, so I don't break myself with unhealthy, toxic situations and thinking it's supposed to be the norm when it's not. Because I think there's also that balance that needs to be had of, oh, I'm grateful to be here, but also I'm a human being. Like, don't walk all over me. Like, I'm a mother's child, so don't be playing.
So it's good to seek out mentors, right? It's good to seek out people who have done it before you. People are in the space that you want to, like this, the age-old saying, you can't be what you can't see. So
exactly.
It's targeting those kind of people who have done it. And don't get me wrong, I know people are going to start DMing me and be like, so Tess, you said, it's like, I get that already. It's like, if I don't get back to you, my apologies, but I'm trying. But in terms of seeking that mentorship, seeking people that have done it before you is very key within moving through that, that space.
Absolutely.
And what about you?
I feel like my book has had so many chapters.
Oh, tell us. We'd love to hear it all.
You guys always hear about the 2 businesses that made it. And I have a whole graveyard, of businesses that failed along my journey. And now when I look back at it, and I really feel like God was really taking me on this journey, and all the different failures that I've had, they all had a lesson in them to prepare me to become the woman that I am today.
Right.
Because there has been a lot of challenges, and they still are.
Yeah.
And there were points when I used to just get really desperate and just be like, is this a sign for me to just give up and just go and get a job and, and hold on to safety? Whereas nowadays I ask myself, what is the lesson? What is the lesson that I can learn from this, and what can I take from it to help me get onto the next level? And also I feel like as I mature, I'm now more afraid of making mistakes than I was back then. I feel like for me, starting as a 19-year-old was really good because I wasn't scared of making mistakes.
There was a sense of naivety, right?
Yeah.
A sense of like, well,
there's safety in that in a weird way.
I feel like I was a lot more courage. I had a lot more courage to just embrace the fear and, you know what, let's do it. If it goes wrong, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
I live in my mum's bedroom, in my mum's house. I don't have any bills to pay. I essentially didn't have as much to lose as I do today.
Yeah.
And nowadays the risks are a lot more calculated. I had a brief corporate career as well that was very brief because it really wasn't for me.
What was it about that wasn't for you? What do you mean it wasn't for you?
I like the freedom of being able to dictate what my life and my career are going to look like. And I didn't like having someone else dictating that for me.
Right.
So the freedom is one of the things that I really love about entrepreneurship. And I say this not to say that you'll have less work, because as an entrepreneur, you work a lot more than someone who has a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But it's just that freedom of saying, I have the option,
Yeah, it's the
If I
option.
want to go on holiday, I can.
Yeah.
If I want to change and pivot how things are going for me, I can do that. So
Yeah.
I really love being able to have that freedom.
I hear that. I
But
hear that.
corporate was good for me because I came into business as a hustler. And then I evolved. I then became a mum. So then I was running business like a housewife on a budget.
Wow.
And being in the corporate world taught me things like the importance of consistency, of having systems, of things actually running a little bit more like a productive line. And that really helped me when I needed to scale up. So I don't knock the corporate world at all. I feel like as an entrepreneur, my short corporate career taught me a lot, and I feel like it gave me a lot of the skills that I needed to be able to get my business more organized and grow.
And in that corporate space, were they open to you learning? Like, what was your entry point into that? How did you come into it? Because obviously you had started a business already. So what moved you into a corporate versus like staying all the way through to?
Again, accidental, like a lot of things in my life. I was on holiday in Greece.
Oh, wow.
The freedom that entrepreneurship gives you. So my children were on half term, and I thought, I have got two options here. I could be working from my laptop at home with the kids stressing me out because we're now locked inside the house, or we could go to a nice resort in Greece, and they could be, playing in the pool while I'm poolside getting my work done, and that's what was happening. And then there was this lady that was there on a yoga retreat.
Oh, nice.
And she turns out to be a recruiter at Google.
Nice.
And that's how my corporate career started. Within a few months, I was in San Francisco.
Wow.
Did a short course with
I
Google.
need the backstory. So how did you go from doing emails by the pool to meeting
ask.
this person,
Yeah.
doing on a yoga retreat to then offer you a job? Give us that story.
So basically, my children are playing at the pool. I'm by my laptop, and this stranger danger keeps coming up to my kids. And I'm like, okay. So I approached her, and I'm like, is everything okay? I see you talking to my kids a lot. And then we just got to talking. Turns out she's this lovely Brazilian girl. We then connected.
so
We spent the whole week together.
That's
She
so
tells me
nice.
she's a recruiter at Google. I'm like, oh, my background is in marketing and communications. At this point, I was just finishing a master's in innovation management and entrepreneurship. She told me that there was this course that they were going to be running in the office in San Francisco. If I wanted to come, and she managed to get me a spot on it. All I had to do was just pay for my expenses to come over.
Oh, brilliant.
So from that course that I did, I was out there for 2 weeks. They really liked me. And then there was an opportunity that opened up in London, and she put me forward to it.
Incredible.
And the rest is history. That's how I...
That's also
managed to
so
get in.
key in terms of, I mean, they call it networking, but I feel like it's all about alignment, like, right? It's like it's all good networking, but if the person doesn't align with your goals, or what if the person was from a company that doesn't align with your background, or it's just really trying to find a way to navigate within this world, the society that we are in. Everyone's trying to find their path, right? So it's like, I think it's seeking out people, or just basically having conversation, right? Going up to her, you weren't rude, you weren't anything. We're just trying to find out why she's talking to your kids. But there's so much opportunity that comes out of just random things, It's
And
like
something that I'd never planned or even thought about.
literally, and I can testify to this because that's the same. My career's been accidental, to be honest. I wanted to be a fashion designer, went to LCF, studied fashion textiles, but didn't have the budget to back me, because in that space you need a lot of money, and I didn't come from that. And basically navigating it's just been the hustle culture. It's like, how can I make money? How can I support myself? Because my parents weren't giving out money just like that, and I wanted stuff. I like nice things. I like nice things. And I just basically wanted to start basically earning my keep and having my own way, so I can have my own say to say, actually, I want to buy those shoes. Let me buy those shoes, of asking my parents or struggling to find it. So it was that, and I think it's also coming from an immigrant background, right? That hustle mentality is there. They didn't bring you this far just for you to fail.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't sacrifice just so that you can just be nobody. So it's like, I feel like there was a sense of I had to prove something. So that was the driving force in most of the decisions I was doing. And to be honest, my family, most of them, my siblings, all academic. I just wasn't. I was very creative. I was either going to be an actress or a designer. The actress thing didn't work out because I was stuttering when I got up on that stage. I couldn't do it. I just had it all in my head, and then it just didn't work. So then I loved clothes. I loved to, we couldn't afford to buy new things. I was like, how can I make this? How can I make this myself?
That's
so
really
I went into shops and just started looking how things were made and this. And I was like, and kind of self-taught before I knew there was a thing called London Cultural Fashion, before I knew, and even in school, some of my teachers said I wouldn't get in. And then I was like, when I got in, I was like, told you, don't underestimate Deborah. She will show you all the time.
Talk to me nice.
Talk to me nice. Literally, I wish I could go back and be like, I did it. I'm petty like that. Sorry. But yeah, it's just really navigating those spaces and it's just meeting someone and then connecting with this person. And I'm telling you, everyone watching this, it all adds up. Don't underestimate your journey. Like, you must be thinking, oh my God, why this or why that? Just always give 110% because you just never know who's watching. I believe that 110%.
I think that's what got me to Knightsbridge. You know, when I decided I wanted to open the clinic, I had no idea exactly how much it was going to cost me. I had no idea how much the machines that I wanted to have in my clinic were going to cost. But one thing I was certain of is that the same amount of energy that it would take me to set it up, for instance, in North London where I live, is the exact same energy that I was going to use to set it up in Knightsbridge. And I thought, if I'm going to waste energy, let me put it into something that I know can pay more. And obviously the obstacles were also bigger. But I'm glad that I chose to do it in that way, because nowadays I look at my clinic and I'm so proud of it.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful clinic. I visited it. Had some fabulous treatments there, so please do check it out. Dolls London. Ruby, I want to come to you in terms of when you transitioned from corporate into, and working with friends. Well, that's also another thing I want to touch on.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that in terms of when did you know that, okay, I'm going to do this? Because, jumping into entrepreneurship or running your own business as a whole is no easy feat. It's not a light decision to be made. Although I did take it lightly, to be honest, guys. I didn't plan for this, but we'll get into that in a bit. Go on, Ruby.
So for us, we were all at uni, and I sort of took my busybody nature into uni as well. Was part of ACS, always getting involved in events, helping friends set up their businesses or support them with their businesses. And we had a friend who was massive makeup lover, hair. She was that girl that when we were all going out in trainers, she would go out in heels. And people loved her makeup and asking her like how to do makeup. And so just as a friendship group, we would like start a YouTube channel, then you can just direct them to that. And then we just fast up ourselves and said, okay, do you know what? We're going to manage you. We didn't know what that looked like. We didn't know what that was. But this was like really early days of like YouTube. So this is 2013, 14, like really early days. Am I doing my maths right? Yes. From there, we were just trying to navigate what that looked like in the industry, that sort of early influencer world. And then we all graduated and we were just kind of doing it on the side. We started managing a makeup artist and started working with certain people in the industry. And it was always a side thing. It was never, when I say accidental, I genuinely mean like it. I did not grow up thinking I'd be a business owner. I did not grow up wanting to be an entrepreneur. I was always very much a corporate babe. I liked the structure. I like processes. I like being accountable to a team, like those elements of corporate world that I really loved. And I thought that was going to be my life. I wanted to work up the ranks. And like, it's so interesting with entrepreneurship because you just missed all those steps.
Right?
You're
straight to CEO and you're like, okay.
I'm here now.
Yeah. But then it's like, it's weird because it's reversed because you go to CEO, but then you have to be the accountant, you have to be the assistant, you have to be
you end up going like this rather than like going down.
Way,
like
corporate world, you're going ascending up. But
exactly.
Entrepreneurship, you're literally like the waves. Is like, well, so why am I like now the one like literally
doing everything? Exactly.
Why am I the one answering this email when it's just like, this
you are the one who has to fix all the problems.
All the problems. You can't be like, let me pass you on to... No, I'm the person.
Right, let me loop in. Let me loop in. There's no let me loop in. There's literally let me loop in myself, but just on another.
Literally. So it was never the plan, but we were all just really enjoying it, me and my 2 business partners. And it was definitely like alignment, as you mentioned, in terms of we all kind of got everything we felt we wanted to get from our roles. It was funny because we weren't in our roles for long, in terms of our corporate roles. Straight out of uni, we all got really good jobs. I was at mine for about 13 months. And then about month 10, I started to get the itch. I was like, I love the job. I love the people. Well, I love the people. I didn't love the job. I worked in tech PR. It was very different, but it taught me like everything I needed to know about PR. And like you can say, if you can do tech PR, you can do anything because it was B2B. So it's like very hard to sell.
If people don't know, can you tell us what's B2B?
B2B, so it's business to business. So rather than doing like publicity and speaking to the public, or the client is trying to market something to the public, they are marketing to other businesses. Right. So we worked with a lot of tech companies that created solutions for other businesses. Or they created solutions or reports for the government or for the industry. So we had some really cool clients that looked into like the early days of, I don't know whether you guys, depending on when this comes out, but there's who's doing it? Deliveroo are doing a partnership with a retail brand.
Yes, her.
Is it
the rental place?
Yes, I think so. Yes, so where you can get same day or something, same right?
Day delivery,
So we had a client similar to that, but this is like 8 years ago.
Wow.
That wanted to try and do day of deliveries, but from stores. So rather than going in, so like all
that's
of our,
incredible. So 8 years ago, someone was thinking about
so
this.
it was called Stuart. So like
and
with all our lives,
they
did, but then it didn't work. It was just the wrong time, I think.
Okay.
And that's also another thing.
Timing. It was just the wrong time because they might not
key.
even have been the first at the time either, but it just didn't work. But imagine all our lives so busy, and like Debs, you have multiple events. Someone invites you to an event, and you don't have time to go to the shops to go get a new outfit.
That was me on Monday night.
And you don't have time. So you literally go on the app and you say, for example, go on to H&M and there's an option for you to buy the product and someone to come and deliver it to you, like wherever you are, and you can change it up until about 30 minutes before you need to leave that location or whatever. But it was so revolutionary. But yeah, we had clients like that. So we were trying to PR the client to other businesses to show that this product is great for them. So it's not necessarily for the public to know about yet. Right, okay. So it was very different to what I do now. I work in entertainment, film, TV, music. But it taught me everything I needed to know, and I love working there. But yeah, I got to a point where I just felt like my wins at work I wasn't really excited about. Like my colleagues would be so excited about getting coverage in certain spots, but I was more excited about like the email I was getting at lunchtime with one of my side hustles. Like that's where I was getting my joy and my excitement and my drive. And an opportunity came up where we were like, should we just try and give this a go? And it was similar to what
all of
you
you at the same time?
So one of my business partners, Christina, she left her job first in January, around January, February. And then I left mine in May, and then Rimby left hers in August. So it's kind of staggered. Oh, wow. But we all said, okay, like, let's take it into...
Christina was the only one who followed through with the new year, new me.
Yeah, exactly. She said, you know what? I can't remember doing this anymore. So we said, okay, you do you, and we'll come after.
And how did that look like? So was she taking the bulk of the
It was
or
the more
how
the
did she
day
set
to
it?
day in terms
Right.
of like being able to go to meetings during the week. But I, mornings, lunchtimes, after work, we'd all kind of be there to support, and throughout the day if we could,
Right.
if we could sneak an email or whatever. But
And at
yeah.
this point, how many clients did you have a solid
We had
foundation?
this is why it's so funny, because we didn't have a proper plan. It was like we had about 2 clients and like lots of opportunity, endless opportunity, and about 2 clients. But we just wanted to give it a go, and it's exactly what you said about less responsibility. Back then we could afford to make mistakes. My parents were really, well, they weren't happy about me quitting my job, but eventually they got on board and were like, we're going to support you for a year. So here's X amount a month and we'll support you for a year, and after that, if you can't support yourself, get your ass back to work.
Right.
So that allowed me some freedom as well. And yeah, so it was very accidental. It was like, let's see how it goes. And luckily within a year I was able to support myself, and we said, okay, let's keep going.
Amazing.
I like that you had business partners that you can kind of like fall back on.
Absolutely.
For both my businesses, it's always been me. My sister supported me, and my mother. To be honest, my sisters and my mom have always supported me in any idea that I had. Even when they didn't understand it, they gave me the emotional support and the encouragement that I needed to go for it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes just believing in me.
Just having that.
But in terms of having someone to actually be there in the trenches, fighting with me, it's always been me on my own. And whenever, there's only been one business in which I had a partner, and that didn't even see.
It was that one part of the graveyard.
Yeah, and so with me, it's always been me on my own, and so I've kind of always felt like, I wish I had.
I really admire
you.
everyone who does it on their own, because 100%, I will say this with my chest, I would not have been able to do Vamp on my own. I know it needs multiple people, so I admire both of you for going at it
I
on
feel
your
you,
own.
Vanessa. That in the truth, I'm like to have that, I guess support.
Yeah.
Because one person can do this, or one person has an idea. But if I have the idea, I'm like, I want to tell it to someone, but like, it's all good having like family to support you, right? But they're not in it with you.
They're not in it.
So it's a different kettle of fish to be like, actually, or someone to just be like, actually, are we charging this much for the info? Are we doing this? We don't know. Like, I just really wish I had someone to bounce that off, or just someone in it with me to be like, okay, you're going to take this meeting, or you're going to come in at this and say this. And also people coming, when you go into a meeting, you feel like a team more than you're there by yourself. And they're just looking at you like, oh, it's just you?
I am the team.
I am the team. And like people always ask, so is it just you? And I'm like, I always have to say, oh, no, I've got a team. But it's just like, it's that perception that people see you, just you.
Yeah.
And it is, like you said, it is a bit of a, when you even go back and behind closed doors, you're just like, oh man, like, am I failing? Am I doing, like, you're all these things that are in your head that it's like, there's no one to, you're second guessing yourself. There's no one to be like, actually, no, we're doing this together, or actually, oh no, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do
Just
feel
so that you can
that.
even be ill sometimes, or be sick,
Right?
and you've got someone to pick it up for you.
Absolutely.
Literally someone to just be like, oh, you can send it on. Like I had multiple projects and I had to take one down because I was like, I can't do
Physically,
this
you can't
all by myself.
Yeah.
Physically, it's just not possible. So you do miss opportunities, or you do miss things. But sometimes I'm like, should I get a business partner? But it's hard to just bring someone in who hasn't come like from the beginning.
From the
say,
beginning.
we're all
to be
kind of doing
genuine.
it together.
And have that same passion.
That same passion that we're going to make
drive.
it work,
Vision.
or that same drive.
Exactly.
So, and someone to understand it, because sometimes it's in your head, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't do it together, you don't come together and hash the plan out in the beginning, bringing them on in the third quarter just seems like, then you have to teach them things, or you can't trust them.
It's
or
also
like,
there could be an ego aspect of like,
Absolutely.
but
Yes.
I've built this, and then someone's going to come with ideas, and it's easy to take it, because it happens to us as well, where someone might come in and offer things, and we're like, no, like, you have that, like, it feels like criticism when it's not.
Yeah, right. It feels like criticism. It feels like even just like, are they come to take this away from me? Or are they come to, but like, I read a quote about someone bringing someone in to help them move on to the next level. And I'm like, that is so key. But then how do you find the right person? How do you know that person's actually going to get it? How do you know? Because like you said, maybe I was doing this younger, like now I'm in my 40s, I don't have time to like fail. I don't have time to.
You do, though.
I know I do, but
Yeah,
I really don't, because I really want to be living the good life. I feel like I've also I gave most of my working life to the corporate world, and I gave everything there. Don't get me wrong, I did some amazing things. I've been through some amazing jobs, amazing companies. But I feel like now the energy to do for myself is dwindling a little bit, and I kind of want to get it right. And I know with entrepreneurship, there is no just get it right
Yeah,
on the first go. There is going to be those trials and tribulations, but I'm always like, ooh, I'm not sure. You're hesitant a bit more. But to be honest, like, it's been incredible, and I can only thank God for it. But to do it by myself, to say I'm going to do it and just not knowing, I'm like, I need an accountant, I need the taxes, and I need. I was like, who asked me to do this?
Can I share something that's really helped me? Because
please do.
When you were
Please,
sharing, I could
tips.
really see myself there, because I've,
Tell me. I need all that. And I keep saying to entrepreneur, every time I see an entrepreneur, I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I feel like people need to share more.
Absolutely.
There's more, we do share in the sense of like, oh, I had this date today. I hear all the stories on social media about the day went wrong, and this. I need entrepreneurs to start sharing stories of when the things went wrong.
Yeah.
Not when they're on a panel, but just every day, just jump on your social media and tell me I had a bad day. Because seriously, sometimes you sit and you feel like, am I alone in this? Like, am I doing this right? Oh my God, people think I'm stupid. Like, the things in your head is just so crazy. Please tell me.
For a long time, I felt like I was chasing this prize. And so I always felt like success will be when I'm making X amount, success will be when I'm famous, success will be when I can buy this kind of car, this kind of house. And if you always look at entrepreneurship like that, you will literally drive yourself crazy. We have to be able to enjoy the journey. And the thing is, when you go into entrepreneurship, often it's because you're an ambitious person. And so it's never going to get to a point where you get that prize and you're like, oh, this is it, this is all I wanted. Let me just sit and enjoy.
I wish.
That does not exist.
Right.
So for me, I had to realize that I had to enjoy the journey itself. And
but when did you
working on
come to
being
that
grateful.
realization? When did you come to that, okay, this is it? Because it is easy. It's easier said than done, because I'm there now, because I'm like, what is happening here? Why like, I also, if you don't have a team, you do it alone in your house. So you don't really talk to anyone, you don't really see him, you don't have so how was your weekend? I kind of missed that. I never thought I would from the corporate world. When you go on Monday and someone says, how's your weekend? I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna ask me that same question. But now I'm like, can someone ask me how was my weekend? Because I'm just sitting by myself and it's just me, and it's just like, how'd you get to that point? Because it can be a lonely journey.
I had to burn out. And for me, I feel like, often people will be like, the bottom of the pit could be the best place to be in.
Really?
And I always used to just take it as a saying, but it really is. Because when everything is stripped away, you start to, you get the time to really think about the things that matter. Because when you stop and you look back at your journey, if you're consistent, the amount of money that you're making is going to grow. By just being consistent, doing the same thing. If the product or service that you have, there is a need for it, and you just stay consistent, without you doing anything else, slowly you will start to make more money. But then you realize that money is not making you happy. And now you're taking more on board because you keep pushing the goalpost. And so for me, I had to completely burn out to realize that it's not about the money, It really, and I feel like becoming a mum for me was also a big thing that I see with Nayna London. I started out and I just wanted to sell hair products because I needed money to be able to have a good lifestyle. And then I became the mother of a daughter and I saw myself outside of my body and I was like, she looks exactly like me.
Wow.
And so all these insecurities that I had as a little girl, I'm like, do I want her to have those as well? And so my mission became bigger. And I think it's important for us to have goals within our entrepreneurial journey that are outside of money, because otherwise you'll just find yourself chasing money constantly. And I'm yet to meet a person that's like, I've made so much money, I don't want any more of it.
I mean, look at Beyonce. She went on a tour and she's going on a tour again.
Like,
come on now.
Yeah.
Like, you think the girl will want to sit down, but she's hustling. She's hustling, and it's like you're right. It's like you're always going to want more. And I always say there's no shame in wanting more. I'm ambitious, and people try to put me down for it, and I'm like,
No.
there's no shame. I am ambitious, and that's what I'm going to do. But at the same time, in that journey, there is those moments where I'm like, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? How am I doing this? Maybe I need to get another job. Maybe it would be better if I get another job. But there's also, for me anyway, the attachment to being, Deborah from wherever you being that association, Google, or your that big corporate name that you fought so hard to get.
And also comparison, because so and so is doing it big. I must be doing it big. But that person's doing it big could be different from yours, because you might, have different end goals. So you don't necessarily have to go on the exact same journey. And being able to just realize that and being grateful for the small wins.
Yes, the small wins.
Nowadays I get so ungrateful for things that I've prayed for.
And it's what you said about like getting to the bottom of the pit. Those small wins you're begging for. But just that one email that you need to go through, or like the small things.
Or that one invoice that clears.
Exactly. Things that you just would take for granted. You're like, oh great, cool. But like when you get to that bottom of the pit, those small wins are what helps you climb back out. And so I resonated so much with that, because this year's been a tough year. Really, really hard, but also very eye-opening, and like I've grown a lot, and it's made me appreciate the small things, the hard things, and what's important, and like the mission of what we do as an agency, why we do it, and who it's for. It's made us kind of reevaluate that and want to do more next year with that in mind. So
it's a little bit like a muscle. The more stress you put on it, the more it grows.
It grows.
Yeah,
that's so key, because I'm literally at the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey. I've always worked since I was 15. I was working, but working for someone. So there was structure. There was, okay, you have to start at this time, you end at this time, or you have to do these things at this time. Like, if you wake up and you don't want to send that email as an entrepreneur, you don't have to send it. But then that means there's no money coming in. So but it's all on you. It's those decisions. Some days I'm just waking up like, girl.
Yeah, child, I can't.
Girl, today drains me.
And it's like
today,
10 a.m. like,
and it's like I just
They
or
just
like there's that one client that's just like, but
also in the corporate world, and not that I did this,
Go on.
but if you had a bad day and you wanted to kind of go unnoticed with not doing much, you could. That's your own business.
Absolutely.
You can't get away with it.
Everything stops.
Yes,
exactly. You can't get away
with corporate world, and now I want to go back there with our audience that are still in their corporate journey and just trying to climb their corporate ladder within that space. Like, it's not, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, so please don't feel free that you have to jump ship and build it. And I always say, to revert back, I always feel like sometimes in this day and age, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, right? And I'm like, if everyone's building their own table, where
sorry,
who's gonna work where?
Who's gonna be the actual people that, who's gonna be my like person who I need to work in the restaurant?
Yes,
who's gonna be the person that I need to work and be cleaning the window? Who's gonna be the people that
that just keep the world going?
Often people be like, it's so hard living paycheck to paycheck, but listen, living invoice to invoice.
Oh, you think that's better? It's not at all.
It's you just don't know. You're just like,
and it's not much you can do. I think people think, can't you get them to do this cut?
No,
like we tried it all. There's not much you can do. But if it's paycheck to paycheck, if they don't pay you on time, you can sue. That there's certain things you can do. There's some security.
But even to sue, you need money,
right?
It's true.
And where's the money to? It's that. It's like, I think there's a glamorization of what working for yourself and entrepreneurship looks like, but no one really prepares you for the
de-glamorize it. Like, I think that's probably
loneliness. There is a lot of loneliness in there. You are doing it.
Self-doubt.
It's the self-doubt.
I think this year I'm determined to de-glamorize entrepreneurship, because it's what you said about not everyone needs to be one, and there's also there is a balance that you can create of being someone that works in corporate, and you can also be a business owner. Like, I know obviously it's easier said than done depending on your time and what you do, but it doesn't need to be one or the other. And it's also about like what kind of value that you want to give onto the world, because there's a term called intrapreneurship, which is like people that work within a corporate world, but they're making waves within that corporate world. I would say that you probably were a great example of an intrapreneur.
Thank you.
Of someone who you can do your job and like make sure you're trying to work up the ranks a little bit, but there's also an element of, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to help the next generation? What can I do also to spread understanding of my role, the job, to other people, especially as a Black woman. Like, what can you do
Yes.
to be inspiring, like,
Yes.
and supporting that sort of accurate representation? And people really underestimate that and what the power of that.
Don't get me wrong. There's such power in it. But when I was hearing that, sometimes there's a catch-22 in that, right? As a Black female within that corporate space, there's so much pressure to be that symbol for everyone. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. I loved my role where I was, but there was also, like I said, entrepreneurship was an accident. It's not like I wanted to run my own business, but I kind of was given no choice. It's like there were certain things happening and you were just like, I can't forgo myself to just be this symbol. As much as it was inspiring, as much as I wanted it, and I feel sometimes like, oh man, like, did I make the right choice? Because there was so much more I could have given. There's so much more I could have done. But at the same time, like Cookie Lion says, I had to put myself first, Lucius. I put me first, Lucius. And that was what I had to do. And I felt like I owed it to myself. I turned 40. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, how do I leave that fabulous role to be, and that thinking, that association, who am I without that title? Who am I without? And to be honest, I've just been kind of winging it.
Yeah,
to be honest, I've been winging it. And it's that, don't get me wrong, there's an element of hard work. There's an element of drive. There's an element of wanting to succeed. There's an element of wanting to excel. So there is that every day you wake up and be like, okay, how can I go? How can I? But then there's also an element of like, oh, child.
Yep. And you know what? You mentioned
you
around like,
life.
Oh God, it's like, when is the soft like this entrepreneurship? I see people like on holiday all the time. When is that going to be me?
How? Yeah, when and how? But you mentioned around like feeling like, is there more you could have given? But I do think that's an element of being a woman, but also being a Black woman or a woman of color, where you feel like you always have to give more and more and more. And of course, you should always try work as hard as you can. As a Christian, I try to make sure that like I'm working 110% as much as I can. But at the same time, I think you just have to same with entrepreneurship, you find your purpose. So if you're in a corporate role and you're finding those small wins, like what are you doing to keep going for yourself, but also people around you. And maybe not everyone has to be a Debs and like, amazing, but there's going to be, even if it's just one person you inspire, like everyone has a purpose and everyone has a place in this world. You have to decide like what you want to contribute to society or what you want to contribute to your community. And that could be your big win for the year or big win for your career. It could be one thing. But I think there's just, I wish more people understood the pitfalls and as well as the glamour and the glitz and glam of entrepreneurship, and are able to weigh it up better and maybe not make the instant choice. So like we always say, if people hear our story, like, don't follow us. Don't do it. Do not do it.
Don't do as I do. Don't do as
I say. Because we had no savings. We had nothing. And like, if it's difficult, because I'm like, if I could do it all over again, would I do it differently? But then we might not have had the same opportunities, blah, 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 blah. But if I could do it all again and have the same end goal, then I'd do it better.
Yeah,
and I'd
do it
create,
better.
create less stress, more opportunities for like legacy. Like I would do things differently.
But do you think, devil's advocate, do you think doing it in the way you did has like the same way with you, Vanessa? Like everyone's journey, I'm not saying you have to struggle. I don't want anyone to struggle, but that struggle then equals where you are.
Resilience.
That struggle then, those loneliness, all the things we're talking about are the ones that, if you really want it, right? If you really want it, those are the things to push through. I'm not saying it's easy to push through, but if you really want it, because we could all have easily just got another job. We're all experienced. We've all got good CVs. We could all easily just go on wherever and just find a job. What kept you going? What kept you going, Vanessa?
I feel like there was just this little thing in me. And there was one time my sister looked at me and she was just like, and I was going through a really tough time business-wise. And she was just like, Nessa, I cannot understand. You could literally have any job you wanted. why are you putting yourself through this? And, that really got me thinking. And it's because for me, the mission is so much bigger than money.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying, as a Black woman, I feel this huge responsibility. In the area where my business is, there are no other Black women.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm representing a whole community here, and that puts a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But it also gives me this sense of responsibility that, I have this important mission, and whatever happens, we need to get to the finish line. And I think that that's really important, to have a mission.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's the mission that's going to get you out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
Because you cannot run it on money alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think mine's exactly the same. It's definitely a mission. For us, a lot of the work we do, and especially where we started, when we first started, our main focus was Black women in the UK, making sure that they were in spaces that they weren't otherwise able to access, and making sure they were able to thrive, because they were doing amazing things, especially in the influence industry. Talking like 8 years ago, we were following amazing creators, but they weren't getting opportunities that they should have been getting. So we spent years knocking down doors, and that mission, and we've extended it out to everyone, but our main focus is Black and brown men and women, and our focus is seeing them, nurturing them, providing them access to opportunities to be in those spaces that society would say we'll try again next time. And that keeps me going. It keeps me grounded. But to answer your question with regards to would we be able to still do these things if we hadn't have gone through those struggles, it's probably no. But at the same time, I think where you mentioned around that pressure, and if I was doing something that was just for me, I can maybe make those mistakes and be done with it. But the mission is bigger than me, and the work I do and don't do will affect the people that I've chosen to be, the people that we're working for. Yeah, we're actually essentially working for a community. And so there's certain mistakes that I've made over the last few years that I'm like, I wish we didn't do those things, because it could potentially negatively impact the people that we're working for. But at the same time, you've got to balance it out, because we've done so much good as well that, it's easy to kind of during the hard times to just think about, oh my God, we did this. Why did we do this? Blah, blah, blah. But when the good times, we're like, oh, okay, on to the next. That's also another thing that we do.
That we focus so much on the negative and we rush so past on the
That's just a natural human thing.
It's just
But do you ever stop and think that we are the role models we never had?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you think about it that way, it's just it changes your perspective and the way that you look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true, actually.
It's true.
That's very true. We didn't, in no fault to our parents, but they came in with the work hard, right?
Yeah.
And now I always tell my niece, my nephews, work smart.
Work smart.
It's about working smart. It's not about working hard. In this day and age now, it's I feel like there was this rhetoric of okay, go to school, do things, get a job, get a house, do all that. It's now there's different ways, there's different pathways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone's literally sitting on YouTube, have never been to Union.
Yeah.
They're millionaire,
making money, inspiring people.
They're just experimenting. And don't get me wrong, people in the Black and brown community are doing well, but it didn't start there. The other communities were doing it way. It's they had the cheat codes before we did, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we're just getting it now, and I want to pass that on to the younger generation, and just make sure that they're understanding that yes, school is great.
Yeah,
school is really great. But if I could do it again, I wouldn't go to school. I really wouldn't go to school. I think the things I'm doing now, being practical and being able to really think on your feet, is more key than whatever degree that you had. If you want to be a doctor, I'm not saying go to
Stay in school.
Go to school. Stay in school.
But also, school wasn't as expensive as it was in our days.
Yeah. Maybe for the cost now, it's not as worth it.
It's as worth it. Depending on what you want to be a doctor, please go to school. Because
if you want to be a lawyer,
I don't want you cut me open and you don't know what you're doing. Or if you want to be a lawyer, please go to school. Stay in school. But as in, if you want to be in that that entrepreneur world, or that entertainment world, creative world, it's seeking out those alignments, seeking out, seeing who's doing it before you. I'm not saying copy, but in terms of emulating,
be inspired by,
or just really navigating and finding your own voice. Everybody's unique. Like I always say, there's how many things in the bread aisle, how many variations of bread, and they're all selling. They're all selling. In the pandemic, Brick Lane didn't go down. Like, and they're all selling the same Indian food. So please understand that we can all win. I feel like in our Black and brown community, we've been made to think that there can only be one. So therefore that collaboration is not there, and I feel like we need to collaborate more. We need to seek more advice. I want to come to you and be like, hey, that accountant you did, was that good? Or like, hey, is this taxes right? Like, I feel like there's shame in, like, when you don't know, you feel like, okay, I can't ask because I don't want to seem stupid, because then they think I'm doing it. That perception versus reality. So we kind of suffer in silence. And it's just like, I feel like we need to build more of a community and share more. Like this entrepreneur's journey is hard. It's not like you wake up and like, I can work remotely from anywhere by the beach. But it's like, now I don't go nowhere without that laptop.
Oh,
that
yeah,
laptop is
attached to me. Yeah, literally it's attached to me. I take it out on the train.
On
like,
the train,
it's just,
in the evening, on the cat. Like,
you can't just leave work at
on
home
the plane.
anymore.
Like, it's literally, it follows me everywhere. And I'm sure the same with you. It's like, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. It's not. Yeah. And it's also like, I would say, like a mindset. Like, you really have to want it. You really want to. Because, just shutting your laptop on at 5 o'clock in your corporate and going to the pub for drinks.
Exactly. And then don't think about it again. Work again until 9 a.m.
Sunday, 10 p.m.
Come back tomorrow. Like that 9 to 5 is I'm like,
but it's also
quite
important
sweet
to set boundaries.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm not there yet, but that's very true.
To set boundaries, because
how do you set boundaries? Tell us, how do you set boundaries?
I had to learn the hard way. But it's really, for me, especially as a mum, if I don't set that time when now this time it's for my children and they need to get my full attention, you then end up dealing with things like the guilt that you're never fully there for them, and time waits for no one. And children grow so fast. And the worst thing that you want as a parent is to look back and be like, wow, I missed out on their childhood. So for me, I had to learn the hard way. And, you have to make time.
Even though, sorry to interrupt you, you still feel guilty even though that what you're doing is providing for them? It's like, how do you balance that?
You do, because you can't, it's a natural thing. And also it's the people around you that make you feel guilty, because children adapt so well. There was never a time when my children were like, you missed when I took my first step. Like, no, it's not the child that's got, maybe when they're older, right? Maybe I'll experience that later.
But during their childhood.
Up until this point, it's always been the people around me making me feel guilty for not being there. But now my children are getting to this point where my son's just become a teenager. And
congratulations, that's big.
And they become independent, and they don't need you, because you bring these children into the world for the world. They don't really belong to you. You're just borrowing them for a limited amount of time. And now he's becoming independent and he doesn't need me. And now it's me that I'm feeling like, I have no baby.
I'm not needed.
Now I want to hold on. But I have learned over the years to create, there isn't such a thing as a work-life balance and all these, influencer moms that have it all. Some days, something's got to give. And one thing that I always had, though, whenever business was in conflict with my children always won.
Fair enough,
Always. So I always prioritize them. And when things got really, really difficult, instead of using them as my excuse, I used them as my inspiration and my reason why I had to do it. And sometimes that was by sacrificing my own personal time, sacrificing being able to spend more time with friends, being in a relationship. But something's got to give. And this notion that everything has to be perfect and you have to have it all will often drive women to depression and all sorts of other things because you now feel guilty.
Ruby, how do you just confirm you don't have kids, how do you navigate that? What is your source of, because I'm the same, I don't have kids, and sometimes you can, like, literally midnight, you're still there on those emails and you just forget, right? You haven't eaten, you kind of forget to take care of yourself, or there's no one to distract you. Actually, I need to go and cook for my kids, or I need to go and cook for my husband, or there's not, it's just me, so I can be very fully immersive. So how do you set boundaries?
It's such little things. Like, I've refuse to work from my bed anymore. Like I let my bed be for me, for rest, for real rest. And that, I used to love working from my room. Like that was my place to do it. Whereas now my laptop, actually leave my laptop downstairs. So when I get home, I leave. It's a conscious decision. I leave my bag downstairs, plug in my laptop, and leave it there. So that I'm also forced to get out of bed in the morning on the days I don't go to the office to go downstairs. But like those little moments, like just finding little things like that to allow me to have some time or like separate. There was a period where I also said, I don't want to work from home anymore because I want home to be home. I want home to be my sanctuary. I want it to be my place of comfort and relaxation. And it's hard to do that if it's also my office. So there was a period where I was like, I'm going to try my best to go to the office or go work from a coffee shop or whatever as much as I can throughout the week. Cost of living, change that. So not as much.
Exactly. Not everyone can do that. No, I want to say that. Not everyone can. So I think from what everyone is saying, it's like you have to really navigate in that whatever time or situation or moment in your life that you enter entrepreneurship, you really have to navigate it to the best of your ability. Whatever is in your parameters, what you need to navigate. Don't look like this person. It's easier said than done, I know. Look, social media will drive you crazy. Everybody's living that life, but you have to, whatever moment you enter entrepreneurship, whether you've got family, whether you've got a husband, whether you're single, whether you're in your 40s, whatever, you have to look at it and just be like, try your best to not compare. Try your best to do what is going to be best for you. So therefore, like Ruby, you were saying, you navigate that. Okay, I don't want to work from home. Coffee shop. You can't do a coffee shop. Okay, make a space in your house that place. So when you leave that space, that work is done. Or when you get to that space, that's when you start. So you're really finding a way to carve out and look after yourself.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's a long, and like Vanessa, you're saying, it doesn't stop when it's like, okay, I'm gonna make. Even if it's £1 million, like when you make that £1 million, there's still more to go, right? There's still,
and at what cost as well?
Because £1 million comes with its own
Exactly.
problems.
At what cost?
It's like literally, I mean, I don't think I can say it, but more money, more problems. I don't know. I don't know if I can say use that song now. But you know, it's like there's always something. Like even you ask the richest person, there's always something. Like we just said, Beyonce is still hustling. She's not just sitting at home collecting whatever. She's still working. She's still bringing things out. There's always gonna be something. So I think whether you're in the corporate world and you're making good money and doing good things, or whether you're, having your own business, working with people, there is an element of you have to carve out that time for yourself, because without you, then what? If you leave this world, then it's game over. So you have to. It's easy said than done. Like I said, I'm not good at it. I'm working on it. I've just started the entrepreneur journey myself, so I'm working on those boundaries. I'm working on those things. I'm working on the mindset, and it's a whole. Yeah, you have to kind of, it's again, learning on the job. It's because no one tells you. You can read all the books. I listen to podcasts. You can read all the things, but no one is you. No one is you. No one's going to do it the same way. Everyone's going to be like, you're doing a great job. It's like, but it's like, if you only knew, if you only knew that invoice ain't been paid, y'all.
The things they don't show you.
Exactly.
The things they don't show you, the things they don't say. I would say, like, a few of my friends have kind of moved into that entrepreneur journey, and it's like, now I feel like maybe we can be in it together, but at the same time, everyone's doing their own thing, and everyone's lives is different. Someone's got a mortgage, someone's got a rent, someone's got a car, someone's got family to support him back home, and there's all these different elements that, like, I guess within the corporate world, you can go to your boss and maybe ask for a raise, and then they give you, maybe you need to do this to get the raise. When you're working for yourself, if you need that raise, you need to find more clients. How are you going to find more clients? How are you going to money? You need to make more money, but that's on you. It's also the way of trying to find different clients or thinking about things in a different way. Because okay, yes, you've got great clients, but how do I move to the next level? How do I navigate this?
And you never have anyone you can blame, because normally you can blame your boss.
Right?
Now
if you're not going to
now you're the boss, so you're to blame.
In the corporate world, you can always be like, oh, my boss is against me, and that's why I'm not getting it. Or my review didn't, there's always something, or some like, sort of detachment to this person's in that role, so therefore I can't move up. So, but in entrepreneurship, it's like,
it's all on you.
It's literally all on you, and navigating that, and just really just trying to, I just say, it's not easy. It's not easy, but would you say it's worth it?
100%. I would still pick it.
Yeah. Over going back to corporate, over with all the things you know,
With
with
all
all
the
the
things I
knowledge, with
know.
all the graveyards that the
hindsight.
other business are in,
Yeah.
you still pick it
would still pick it.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Ruby?
Ask me in a year.
You've been 8 years in.
Ask
Come
me
on,
next year.
I'm trying to get tips from you
I know,
guys.
I'm so sorry, but I'm trying to be real. The realness is
Please, I love
where
that.
we've had probably the toughest year of our existence.
Yeah.
I'm still in a place of like, let's get to the other side. And it has, well, put it this way, it has been worth it in the sense of what we've been able to achieve because our business is very specialist. When we first came into the industry, we were the first of its kind to be dedicated to Black audiences. And that came with so many hurdles and so many like barriers to entry. But what it has meant is that we've been able to do it. And so it's meant that other agencies after us have had a much, I mean, they'll struggle the same way, but it isn't like, oh, what's that? It's, oh, okay, that's a service that can be provided or that's something we can accommodate to our structure. We work alongside sort of traditional agencies and now they've had to pivot so that they can work alongside us.
Right.
And the brands that we work with have also had to be like, okay, right, we need Vamp and we need X agency to make sure that we're covering
In the multitude, right?
Exactly.
And I feel like you're right in the entertainment space. I feel like they're not used to having people of color.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm even experiencing that now. It's like, I don't know. I think I was just so naive to it to be like, oh, it's gonna be because I've done it within that corporate space. It's gonna. But when they see you and you're not attached to that corporate and you're doing it for yourself, they're like, oh,
There's an element that they could be like,
yeah. It's
so
like,
you have to push
you
harder.
have to push, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared for that, to be honest. I knew it in a way, but I didn't think it was going to be so hard.
Yeah.
And it's trying to navigate how that entry point and that breaking that barrier. And I'm like, what?
Why do I even have to do
Why do I
certain
have to
things?
do that,
Exactly.
right?
But
Why
it's
do I-
just,
and it's like from that corporate world, and that's why I want to touch on that. There is those elements of you have to fight twice as hard.
Yeah.
But it's the same in that entrepreneurship
Yeah.
world. Yes, you're building your own table, but you have to align and work with these agencies or these other entities.
Exactly.
That there is still those elements of having to work twice as hard.
Absolutely,
Having
yeah.
to push back those boundaries, having to literally explain yourself when someone else wouldn't have to explain
Exactly,
themselves,
'cause
having to prove yourself even more when someone else wouldn't have to
and
prove
that's it
themselves.
because it depends on what you're doing as a business. You might not have to answer to anyone, quote unquote, but we talk about building the table. But if you can't get into the room,
Right.
to bring in that table, you've built your table, great, you've got your people, you've got your opportunities, but unfortunately, unless you're going to an entity or a business that is also operated by a person of color or it's operated by a genuine ally, you will have to push to get into that room to bring that table in. And I think there's an element of, oh, I want to work for myself, I don't have to answer to anyone. You absolutely will still have to. And you'll have to argue with people. You'll have to prove yourself. And there'll be times where you're like, why am I? It's like we're holding a mirror up to ourselves. Like we're already struggling in society. Like, why do we have to prove that we should have rights? Why do we have to prove that as women that we shouldn't be sexualized or we shouldn't be like? There's so many things already. But then you go into a space where you also have to be like, why do I have to prove that I deserve to be here? My qualifications are all there. But it's still not enough.
Why do I have to push to get the budget I
Why
deserve?
do I have to push to get the budget? Why do we have to explain that the Black community deserve to be marketed to in the right way? Why do we have to explain that, there's so many things.
So many things. There's a whole
I can't go a whole list. But I say that all to say that it's been worth it in the sense of what we've been able to do. We've been able to achieve so many things and help other people achieve so many things. So yes, it's absolutely been worth it. Has the entrepreneurship journey been worth it for me alone? TBC. Because I also feel like I might want to go back to corporate and do both. And so, and like I'm a big advocate of corporate plus, as you said, doctors, lawyers do go to university. But I also
stay in school.
You stay in school. But I also feel like for the right people and the right courses and what you want to do, I think education plus experience is the best combination, depending on what you do with it. Because I went to uni and I got a lot out of uni. But I know other people that are in the exact same position as me and didn't. So it really depends on you and what but you have to go into something knowing what you want to get out of it.
Right.
Otherwise it will be a waste.
Right.
So yeah.
Amazing. And I want to touch on the like you're saying, corporate versus working for yourself, right? I think that is the sweet spot in terms of having a job that's paying you, you know, regular income, and then doing something you're passionate about. Because I feel like when you move into that entrepreneur space, there's so much pressure. Like I said, I'm right now, it's like, I got a mortgage to pay. I can't fail, right? So it's like, if you have that, you know, if the people in the corporate world, try and stay there. That's what we're trying to say. But I also understand the challenges that comes with corporate world. So can you give some advice into how people can navigate that corporate space to stay there, to know how to really maneuver, how to survive and basically like thrive in there, not just survive, because there's an element of, I'm not really happy here, I want to move on, right? I want to do my own thing. But how do you, when you are not happy, when things are not going your way, how do you navigate that instead of jumping straight and just be like, I want to do it? Because sometimes people do that.
Yeah.
I'm guilty. And then you're like, this is not cute.
I think
how do you navigate the corporate world? How do you ask for the raise? How do you get better? How do you, you know, be put on better projects or find your own community within that corporate world? Because sometimes, you know, climbing the corporate ladder, climbing your own ladder, it means having allies within that your office. You know, there's people that have to. No man's an island. No one does it alone. In corporate, web or in entrepreneurship, you do need a team. You do need someone backing. You do need that support, emotional, financial, boss-wise. Maybe it's not your boss, a colleague. How do you navigate the corporate world?
I think it's about making a plan and like holding yourself accountable. So
Being intentional.
And exactly, that's the word I was actually looking for, intentional. Because unfortunately, there'll be times where you're in the corporate space and you aren't happy or things aren't going right, but trying to find ways that you can have your small wins and your big wins, but making a plan to make that happen. And unfortunately, sometimes there'll be things that you want to happen and it's, you know, not within your control. You mentioned around like, some people might not be able to get a promotion because there's only one space for that role and someone's already in that role. Okay, cool. What can you do to either create a new role or find other ways that you can feel fulfilled in your role? I know it's easier said than done, but being intentional with what you want to gain out of it. And I think it's difficult because I'll say like people should stay in corporate for as long as possible. But obviously you don't want to affect your mental health. Like, you know, this is for, if it's affecting your mental health, do what you got to do. But if you can push through to the point where it doesn't completely break you down, stay there as long as you can, because as we've mentioned, entrepreneurship is not easier. But you might feel more fulfilled doing entrepreneurship, but you want to do it in the best way possible. You want to set yourself up in the best way possible. So if you're good at your corporate job and you can stand it and you can find small moments of hope and joy and fulfillment, you should try and do it for as long as possible so you can build that foundation so that when you're going through those hard times of entrepreneurship, you know that, okay, well, I've got my bills covered for a bit, or I've got certain things that will make that journey more fulfilling and hopefully a little bit easier than just jumping, because that's it can be very impulsive, and I did it, but I wish I'd maybe spent at least another year in corporate soaking up, because there's so much information and like processes. Like, it's so weird because in the corporate world you're going from people who can clearly successfully run a business to then going to do your own. Why would you not want to learn absorb it? Like, so like take as much as you can from it.
Yeah, like Vanessa, you were saying, like the corporate world is where you learn structure and processes and this, you know, procedures to implement within your business, right? So what would you say about corporate?
I mean, this might be a bit of an unpopular
Please share. This is a safe space.
I'm a strong believer that you shouldn't do something if it doesn't make you happy, because what will happen most of the time is that you won't give it your best, and then you will ruin it for the other people who are happy. For instance, if you are in the corporate world and you're part of a team and you're not really pulling in your weight, someone will have to pick up the slack. And I don't think it's fair. Sometimes you need to keep that job because you have to pay your bills, but also your employer doesn't employ you because you have bills to pay. And I think it's very important to remember that. And I say that maybe a bit biased because I'm an employer, and I don't want
I want to touch on that basically, because like as an entrepreneur, as much as you're working for yourself, you also need to build a team. No one does it alone.
I respect your bills, but also I'm running a business.
Right?
You know?
So how, on the flip side, as a business owner and as an employer, what do you do in terms of like hiring people? How do you navigate staff? How do you navigate people?
I'm not a very good judge of character, and that's something that
I love the honesty.
Entrepreneurship has really tested me on. And it had to be through, kissing a lot of frogs and making a lot of mistakes and having a lot of bad experiences. And nowadays, I'm very slow at hiring, but very fast at getting rid of the bad apples.
Oh, amazing.
And you have to be. And to me, it doesn't come naturally because
I've heard.
I'm a people pleaser.
Oh,
I want everyone to
say that
love
again.
me.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
want
there
to
with
upset
you.
anyone. I don't want
with
to be confrontational. And I often find that, leadership, most leaders don't pick leadership. People that normally tend to pick being leaders, they tend to not be good leaders. And it's when leadership picks you that you really feel that it molds you into the character that you need to have to be able to deal with it. And so for me, it's just having that courage of saying, you know what, this feels really uncomfortable, but it's what's best for my business, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And if someone is not a good fit for your business, you need to let them go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they will drag the whole business down. So I'm not a big
so hard,
advocate
though.
that because you have bills to pay, you should stay in a position and then not give it your best.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing is, even if you're doing something that you don't enjoy, but you say to yourself, you know what, this is part of the journey. It's a stepping stone.
Exactly.
So I'm still going to give it my very best.
You always have to.
But
like
it's
we
a
just said,
temporary situation.
Yeah.
Yes. Even if you're sweeping the floor, if you're waiting
absolutely.
tables, do it to the best of your ability. Because the person that's there paying your salary, I find that a lot of times people don't respect having a salary.
Yeah.
They'll look down on it. And in this economy,
So crazy.
There's very
economy,
true. Ruby, you hire people as well.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that in terms of bringing people in? Because like you said, you've been in the corporate world. So on the flip side, as the person who's hiring, because I'm in that boat, it's like I need to build a team.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I do that without kissing those many frogs?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's part of it. But maybe less. I would love to help someone kiss less frogs.
Yeah.
Because for a while we just worked as the three of us for the first 3 years. We had a few interns. And then in year 4, we had our first hire, and then we kissed a few frogs in that process. And then we were kind of like 4 and 5 for a good few years. And then in year 6, we expanded. And it was really difficult for us to kind of there's an aspect of letting go of the reins, trusting people to see your vision. And if you've got something that is very purpose driven, it's very difficult to find people with that same
this is it.
passion and drive. And also understanding that they're probably not going to a certain extent, because you own the business. It's your livelihood. They weren't with you when you came up with the idea, when you decided to, quit your job or
When
give
you're
it
in
your
the trenches.
all. In the trenches, they're not. So they're not going to have that same. And I think there's an element of accepting that, but not to what degree. If I'm over here, I need someone probably here. They don't need to meet me there. But they need to be close by.
For me, practical things have helped me on the hiring process. A lot of them I stole from the corporate world.
Okay.
It's often you have lots of different interviews. It's not just like one interview. Oh, she's so
Yeah,
nice.
she's
Oh,
great.
come work for me. So I feel like having that process where, you have 2-3 interviews so that you're really getting to know this person. Also bringing someone else on board to support you with that process so that it's not just your expertise on the table.
You
but
can be a
you've
bit
got someone else.
clouded.
Exactly. And then also having contracts that allow you to have a probation period, because someone can hide their character during that one interview.
Oh my gosh, we've done that
but they
so
cannot
many times.
hide it for 3 months, eventually it comes out. So.
Yeah, we've done that. It's exactly that. I think that probation period is really, really helpful. And then having someone else to be your other eyes, especially if you're a solo business owner, they'll be able to hear things that you might not hear, because you're going to be looking for the best, and you're going to
you're
pull out
desperate
certain
for
things.
stuff. So you're like,
exactly. You're going to be hearing certain things they're ticking all the boxes, but someone else will be like, oh, but they didn't say
They're
this.
so
they didn't
nice.
say that.
Oh, that's so my thing.
Exactly.
They're so nice though. But can they do the job?
Can they do the job? Exactly. So, and also helping finding people that you want to help with their career development. So seeing where you can add value to their career. One thing that we established very early on is that everyone that comes through our doors, we know they're not going to be with us forever, and we're okay with that. And that's something that I actually learned from my corporate role. Our director, I remember a very important speech he had with us, that he was like, I don't want you guys to be here forever. I want you guys to be inspired and, you know, go on to do other things. And we've kind of adopted similar mindsets, because a lot of the people we employ, it's their first job. It's their first role working in entertainment. It's their first role working in PR or events. And we know that, you know, they're not going to stay with us forever, but we want to be able to give them the best start in their career, and also know that they're a reflection of us as well. If they go to somewhere else, we want to know that, okay, they've been at Vamp, they're good. Yeah. We know that, you know, their quality. But yeah, the hiring process, I think, also isn't spoken about enough, because it can also affect your business in terms of the functionality and the culture. Exactly. You can have certain people that can, you know, be the bad egg and kind of spread. But there's just so many little things that you have to be careful of. And we've gone back and forth, like, you know, people tell you've got to invest in staff to make money later, but then I don't think people talk about like what that process actually looks like. Okay, you've got 2 extra staff members in. How much does that actually cost you? For how long do you want it to cost before you see a profit from that staff? And you have to go for the numbers, and I don't think enough people do. And then kind of just looking at like year on year, like that finance side of things of like running a business. No one teaches you it. No, you've got an accountant. Yes, you might have.
And there's things your accountant doesn't know.
Right?
Some things are specific to your industry.
Exactly.
They just don't know. Doesn't know. Sometimes I have to call my accountant and be like, did you know? Let me just check.
Exactly. And they genuinely
must have like
don't know.
Some sort of a book.
But then if you're a specialist, which I think we all are in a way, they might not know things. Yeah. So you've got that. If you can afford to get a bookkeeper, great. But then there's also the other side, of just the day-to-day finances.
You have to do it yourself. I've got to look about. It's like it's me that have to. I'm like, actually, I have to input this because they won't know.
Yeah.
And
I hate VAT returns with a passion. You have to do them every time.
So it's just that finance side of thing. I think it's literally, as we've been talking, I've just been thinking of even the things I want to improve on, and like I really want to look at the things I'm good at and the things I'm not, and the things I need teams to do, and the things I need teams to do, and things I need to employ other people to do. And I'm even thinking about like doing like a skills matrix, because I'm part of a board, a charity board, the Black British Initiative, and we actually did that recently to work out all the trustees. We all did a skills matrix to see who's got what skills, and like it's so interesting to have to rate yourself. So there were certain things I'm like, oh, that's a 5. Like that's probably not good, but it gives me a chance to be like, okay, that's something I want to work on. And if it's something I can't do, okay, someone else needs to be like an 8 or a 9. Otherwise, this is a skill that we're missing. So that assessment of everything in your business, whether it's yourself or whether it's your staff, I think needs to be done. But
that's a good point, actually. How do you rate yourself? If you went on the chart, well, how do you give yourself reviews? Because like obviously if you're working for yourself,
exactly.
Do you give yourself a review of like, this is what I did well, this is what...
And that's why I'll need to do more. Like
that's why it's so important to have mentors, because for me, I have about 4 different mentors, and each mentor will cover a specific area that I feel like I need help with. And it's having those people in your life that if you're wrong, they feel confident enough that they can tell you, you could have done that a little bit. But also speaking it with compassion.
Right.
Yeah. You know, because I feel like someone who cares will give you advice with compassion, and they'll say the truth with love. So, but it's important to have those people in your life that can just pull you aside and be like, that wasn't really your best work.
Yeah, you can do better.
Yeah. And we touched on it earlier about seeking mentors, and I know a lot of people, I'm sure you get a lot of DMs, you get a lot of DMs, and it's just like, I want to tell the audience, yes, we're saying seeking our mentors, and I know a lot of people do DM people and people don't get back to them, right? There's a lot of like, oh no, they didn't get back to me. But I think Issa Rae said something where you have to, as much as you're aspiring to, have a mentor who's done it before you, what about cross-pollinating someone who's trying to do the same thing, right? Who's like we said before, collaboration is key, and we need to do more of it. I know it's easier said than done, but sometimes seeking those people that have come before you, but actually also seeking people in the same with you, so they know that actually you're not alone. I need to find an accountant who did you use? Who did you use? Who
Yeah.
did you use? Or like, oh, I don't understand this VAT thing. Do you understand it? And there's no shame in not knowing. I think that's a big thing. I'm learning that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this. I've figured it out, but I'm more and more. And like I said, the more it's a muscle, the more you use it, the more it strengthens. And it's a case of really looking across and be like, who's doing what I'm doing?
But you know why, Debs?
Who's doing?
Often people are not looking for a mentor because they want to add to what the mentor is doing. It's, this person's really successful. Can you rub off on me?
Yeah, I want to be near that.
Me, when I was looking for mentors, I would go to people and be like, wow, I'm like, what you're doing is amazing. How can I add on to it? How can I contribute to the amazing work that you're already doing? Right. And I would go into it with genuine wanting to add to what they were doing. And then in the process, they would then see the value in me and want to help me too.
Yeah. So
whereas often people will come to you and they're just trying to leech off.
Trying to take what you've already done and then understand what it took for you to get there, right?
Exactly.
I think that's like I said, in this social media world, you see it as they've just arrived. And it's like, no, actually, I've been in the trenches for how many years? 18 years, 8 years. It didn't just come, that you're just seeing me. There's been a journey. So therefore, if you are coming for advice and mentorship, understand that there is, what is the value you're bringing, not just come and take.
And also the value you want to get out of it. Like if someone comes to me to ask to be a mentor or to support them, I think, or if you're out there and you're looking for a mentor, you have to really think, what do you want to get out of it? I think it's so easy to be like, I want a mentor, but what do you want from them? Is it advice, and what kind of advice? Is it something that is, as you said, someone that can hold you accountable, so something that's long term, or is it, you want to be able to pick their brain once every 6 months, and you've got 6 questions that you want to ask them? Like, have some structure to it, because it also, that would help me say yes to a lot more people if if they know what they want to get out of it.
Because you're busy as well, and often you don't have that extra time to
plan what's the value that you're trying to get out of it.
And that's exactly what we're saying. Don't be like, oh, they're not getting back to me. It's like, they are busy, they're trying to run a business.
Exactly.
So it's like, first of all, what value are you trying to bring, and what exactly are you trying to get out of it? Really be clear in that, and then we can come up with,
I would love that
concrete feedback, and exactly where can we head you to? Because a lot of people do, and I'm like, I'm not really sure where you're trying to
and that happens. But then I have it with my mentors. They're like, what do you need? And like, if you can't answer straight away, move along, come back later.
Come back when you know.
And like I even get tongue tied sometimes, but it forces me to work out where am I lacking that I need someone to help me with. So planning.
And also making sure that your mentor sort of aligns to where you're going on your journey. And I'm saying this because, it was one situation where I was speaking at an event and, came out of it. A lot of people were so excited, people coming up to me, and this guy's like, your journey really inspires me. I want you to be my mentor. And then I ask him what he's doing. He's like, oh, I'm into fishing.
Interesting. That's different.
I'm like,
so I run a clinic. I don't know how I can help you.
If it's beauty, I can help you. But fishing,
I'd love to know what he meant, because
so he was trying to basically get like a fishing license and do
different.
Basically,
like,
nothing to do with where my
tell you to get a fishing license.
Exactly, because the reason I ask is, I think I've got a mentor still in tech, so from my old job, very different to what we do, but it's about the journey. Like, what can, he's worked in an agency, a successful agency that got bought, etc. So he can give me that kind of advice. And
there's alignment there. There's alignment.
We're complete different industries, so at the same time, he doesn't know our industry in the same way. But there is an element of what do they want?
What exactly do they want? Oh wow. Ladies, this has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I always like to end with asking, I think we're not so good at having uncomfortable conversations. Like we've talked about, things that we need to really do in that entrepreneur space or within the corporate world. And I feel like I want to ask you both, what is an uncomfortable conversation you've had with yourself, with a colleague, whether it's been in the corporate world or whether it's been in the entrepreneurship world? Can you share an uncomfortable conversation and what you learned from it and how it shaped you?
Gosh, I've had so many uncomfortable conversations. I'm here trying to think about which ones can I bring up.
That's good. That means you've built that muscle, because I'm working on it.
Yeah. I think for me, I know you said your business partner started off as your friends.
Mm-hmm.
For me, having friends working for me most of the time hasn't really been a good experience. And uncomfortable conversations are often around you're not delivering. I'm paying you to do a job.
Yeah.
And, having that blurred line between friendship and business.
Yeah.
So those have been a few uncomfortable conversations that I've had.
Wow. That's what they say, friends and family, working with them.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
very
it
difficult.
can work. Some people have done
Exactly,
it.
yeah.
Some people, I guess, like, yeah.
I'm
can
quite
you
grateful.
Speak to,
Yeah,
can you speak to that?
My business partners, both friends from uni, and we've also employed. My cousin works for us,
Okay.
and we've got 2 of our friends from our friendship group that also help us with our HR and our finance.
Wow. How did you navigate that? How do you
So
keep that?
they're sort of contract, so it's still very part time, but it's all about purpose. If they understand the purpose and the goal, and there's a level of respect, and also just being real with each other. Like, okay, we're friends now, but we're working now. So like when we have our calls, we might just at the beginning, all right, back to work. But it's about the purpose. They understand what we're trying to do, and they understand where we're trying to go. And vice versa, we're able to give them extra source of income. We're able to help them with their career, and like they share in our wins. It's about shared experiences and shared purpose. So that's been we've been lucky. It's been a good experience. But outside of that, uncomfortable conversations is probably with each other in terms of like reviewing how things have gone in recent years, especially during our tough period, like seeing what went wrong, at what point went wrong, and how can we prevent this from happening again? Because the day-to-day, it's so easy to kind of be like, oh, this is terrible, move on. But we've had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations and make uncomfortable decisions that we never thought we'd have to make, around like letting go of staff or letting go of accountants or whatever
Yeah,
it
who
may
does
be.
that? Who's
us.
the one who has to do the?
And yeah,
do you all three of you?
Yeah,
do,
we all three of
that?
us
Have
do
to
it.
good
No
cop
one
and bad cop.
Yeah, no one gets to.
Yeah,
be,
no.
Okay, good. That's,
exactly.
That's
So
good. Yeah,
it forces us all to kind of be in it together.
that's
We're like,
good.
we're in it together.
Oh, that's good.
So, but yeah, so I think for us, uncomfortable conversations have been mainly with each other in terms of what, it could be me. I'm not working to the best of my ability. Sometimes I need someone to tell me, or I need someone to tell me, like, you need to take a break. Like, this is something's got to give. Something's not working.
And you all agreed to be open to that feedback. So let's say you're all doing something as a project, and the other two feel like you're not pulling your weight, and then they come to you. You're open to receive.
Yeah, we have to. Like, it's just there's no room for, there could be embarrassment or whatever, but there's no room for ego. You got to keep it moving. Like, you can have your moment. Everyone's entitled to have their moment, but you know that you can't sit in it for too long because we've got a business to run. Like, and that can be difficult. But I think there is an element of, because we're friends, that it kind of softens the blow, or it's going to come with love, because it's not just coming from, we've got to make money, we've got a business. It's also coming from, I want you to be the best person you can be for yourself and for us and for our legacy. So it can go either way. But I am grateful for that.
Amazing. Oh, ladies, thank you so much. It's been so beautiful. Oh,
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. It's been a lovely episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to hear more. Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of Cocktails and Conversations. I hope you enjoyed the chat and found some inspiration to carry with you. If you like this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps us reach more amazing listeners just like you. And let's keep the conversation going. Follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes moments, and a community that's all about personal growth and good vibes. Cheers!